Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions regarding this watch. Today, we're discussing one of my favorite families of Patek Philippe watches. In theory, this started back in the early 90s with the 5000 and continues with today's 6007, but you're looking here at the 6000R-001. So the 6000 debuted back in 2005, and this rose gold model debuted in 2008. Now, it's a 37, but because of its broad arcing lugs, it wears a little bit larger and it has more presence on the wrist. So 37 in diameter, 9 thick because of the slender micro rotor automatic. 46.3 from lug to lug, though it wears a bit bigger, with a nice broad 21mm spacing between the lugs. Throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. I'm just going to warn you that the strap is very stiff. It hasn't broken in yet, so just pulling it tight, I'm compressing my wrist and exaggerating the size of the watch. Though you can see that the lugs, as I mentioned, because they are broad, flat, and don't have a lot of curvature, it wears like a brancard or a board. And so this is a watch that I would recommend for a wrist really no smaller than 15 centimeters in circumference. Even though it is sized as a 37, it wears about a size or two larger than that. Think of it as more like a 39 or a 40, and you get the general idea. So taking a look in profile, now this will fit under a cuff, being thin with a shallow domed bezel. It slides underneath a sleeve of any kind. Here's your down the barrel shot. Here's your over the top, which to be fair does exaggerate the width of the watch. The strap, high grade, large, symmetrical, rectangular scale alligator leather, always indicative of a very good cut of the animal and an expensive one. Here you can see it's dark brown, glossy. It's got a monotone stitch. The edge has been cut and then lacquered. And we've got Patek's pull tab spring bars here, so you can pop that strap off without a tool. That's a recent inclusion that they've been using for the last couple of years. All of the holes on the bottom, you can see no crimping, no gouging, a brand new Patek factory strap. Calfskin on the bottom as these are constructed. We have a matching single fold deployant clasp, the Calatrava Cross. It's the logo of the company. You'll find it here. You'll find it on the crown. You'll find it on the rotor, and you'll find it on the underside of the strap. Now, when we open up this single fold clasp, you can see it's branded with the city of origin inside. Now, there's this little radial spring that helps to ensure the closure is just a little bit snappier and tighter than a conventional friction fit clasp. So this does give you quite a bit of purchase and security on the wrist. Now, one element that carried over from the 5000 to the 6000 to the 6006 to the current 6007 is the shape of the case. So you have these lugs which are integrated into the case band, but also really long thrusting, and the single reason more than anything else that this watch wears larger than its rated size. Now, they are beautiful. As you can see, the curvature wraps around the edge of the lug, which is a provocative look, and it creates a really seamless case band. There's a little pusher adjuster for the radial style lunette date indicator. Everything's polished. The bezel is very shallow and domed. We've got that push down crown, so even though it is a screwed in case back, it's still 30 meters water resistant, so don't swim with it. Rain and splashes only. Taking a look at the case back, we've got the caliber 240 micro rotor. Now, this debuted back in 1977, and it was part of Patek Philippe's solution to the ahead of its time, but not entirely successful caliber 350. But whereas the caliber 350 is a bit of a nerd movement and a cult caliber these days, the 240 became an institution. Thin, but also convenient. It gives you the slender profile of a manual wind, the open, unobscured case-back view of a manual wind, but the convenience of an automatic because it's got this micro rotor that's in the same plane as the drivetrain and the barrel, so you get a much thinner watch despite the fact that it is automatic. It's got a 48-hour power reserve, a 3 hertz beat rate. You can see that it pivots on 27 joules. It is adjusted in 5 positions, which is the chronometer standard. And then you can see this features the Patek Philippe seal. One element that I find kind of interesting is that if you look closely, you can see it has a metal hairspring. Now, right after about 2010, that would have been replaced with silicone. So being that the Patek Philippe seal was introduced mid-year 2009, and this still has a metal hairspring, you can get a pretty good idea just by knowing the lay of the land and how things change. You get a pretty good idea of how old this watch is without boxes, papers, or any help, although rest assured, this watch has all of those included. So we've got a micro rotor that's 22 karat gold. You can see the use of ceramic bearings, or at least ceramic balls and steel races, to make it a more efficient winder, and it does have a 3 hertz beat rate to achieve that 48-hour power reserve compared to the, say, 35 to 45 of a 324 caliber. Gyromax free sprung balance, so all the adjustments are done using these variable inertia masses on the balance rim. It's both more shock resistant than a mobile stud index and easier to regulate precisely. Lots of fine finish. We have linear Côte de Genève across the bridges. We have a high grade of polished bevel on the edges. Though if you look very carefully, you can see that Patek Philippe beveling has gotten better and better in the display case back era. Back when this was made between 2009 and 2011, you can see that there were still little milling marks visible on the edge of the bridges. So obviously started mechanically and then finished by hand, but not quite to the point that you couldn't see these milling marks. So it's mirrored, but not quite as glossy or glassy as you would find on something made in, say, 2024 by Patek Philippe. Now there's pegwood engine turning or perlage on the base plate in several different sizes, which I like. You can see all screw heads are black polished with chamfered slots in circumference. There's satination on the wheels, including the ratchet wheel. And then we have these little locating pegs that help to locate the bridges on the plate below, and those have been polished on their top. On the dial side, some have said that these dials, starting with the 5000, were deliberately designed to echo Jaeger automotive instruments of the 1950s, and I can definitely see the reference. I always understood this to be an automotive-inspired dial, whether it was Jaeger specifically, or the kind of dashboard instruments you would have found in sports cars generally of the 50s and 60s. And you could see everything from the font to the radial array of the numerals to the general vibe and aesthetic. It does feel like a clock, a speedometer, a tachometer on a 50s Jaguar or Porsche or Mercedes-Benz or Ferrari even. I think Ferrari using Jaeger almost exclusively, that would have been the aesthetic that drove the look of this watch. Now something I really like, if you look carefully, you can see that the hands, with the exception of the seconds hand, they're all brushed, which gives a nice subdued rose gold aesthetic. And of course the dial is mostly brown bronze metallic, and in a couple of different finishes. So we have a sunburst at center, but then we have a brushed texture for the rings outboard of the center dial. You could tell that the track for the seconds is a miniature of that for the hours and the minutes. And then we have this lunette date indicator, which is the primary difference between a 5000 and a 6000 series. And it's a fun way to look at the date and adds a little bit of a dynamism to the watch. This watch has a lot to recommend it. And I have to say, I see far more of these in white gold than I do in rose gold. So encountering one of these in rose gold with the brown bronze metallic dial, it's a rarity among a fairly rare family of Calatrava. Remember, most Calatravas are manual wind, where they get the 324 center rotor. For this to have a micro rotor, that makes it a Calatrava above, a little bit elite. So if you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.